Checking alignments and overlaps can be difficult since teams rotate when they gain serve and players are in different positions each time they rotate. Also factor in substitutions and the libero. There are several methods to see an alignment of each team and to check for overlaps. One method is to memorize each team's lineup by the players' numbers. When substitutions occur, mentally making note of the substitution in your head. That method only works if you have a photographic memory. Another method is to write the lineups on a card and note the substitutions throughout the set. The first referee should never do this. The NFHS official's manual recommends the second referee use a lineup card. Second referees should learn other methods instead of using a lineup card, as looking at your card to check for overlaps can cause you to miss something, respond late to sub or timeout requests. Writing substitutions on your card can cause delays and upset the rhythm of play. A method I use is look for 2 lines with 3 points each. A point on each end for the left and right players and 1 point in the middle for the center players. Here is a basic front row back row lineup to illustrate. Since teams very rarely use a simple standard 3x3 lineup, let's expand on the use of 2 lines of 3 points to check alignments. First, we need to understand player position relationships for alignments. Left and right side players are only related to their corresponding center players in their front and back line. At the moment of serve, each left side player shall have at least part of 1 foot closer to the left sideline than both feet of the center player in the corresponding line. Also, each right side player shall have at least part of 1 foot closer to the right sideline than both feet of the center player in the corresponding line. Right side players, center players, left side players, are only related to each other in regards to forward and backwards. Example, the right front player is not related to the center back nor the left back player. Only the right back player. At the moment of serve, the right front player must have part of 1 foot closer to the center line than both feet of the right back player. The center front player must have part of 1 foot closer to the center line than both feet of the center back player. The left front player must have part of 1 foot closer to the center line than both feet of the left back player. The starting point in identifying overlaps utilizing the 2 lines of 3 points is knowing the setter's location for each team as they rotate when winning serve. Then we can see the 2 lines of 3 points for overlaps. How to identify the setters for each team? First, watch each team's warm-ups when the setter is practicing. This is not only to get your eyes ready to judge overhead passes, known as sets, but also start recognizing who the setter or setters will be for that team. Memorizing the setter's number, or a distinguishing feature they have, such as hairstyle, hair color, color of band holding ponytail, or some other unique feature or item that makes them stand out from their teammates. During play, the setter will usually move quickly to the front center near the net. From this position they receive a pass from a teammate to set to an attacker for a spike, or dump the ball over. They may be coming from the back row to that spot, which case they are under back row player restrictions, coming from left front or right front to that spot, or already in the center front position and not moving. Again, identifying the setter's location is the first key in determining the 2 lines of 3 points. Let's look at some common alignments used by teams and how the 2 lines of 3 points method is used to check for overlaps. Teams will have 1 or 2 setters. For these examples, each team will only have 1 setter. Identify each setter's location, either by number or distinguishing feature, and track their position as they rotate. This will aid in identifying the 2 lines and points. For this rotation, let's identify each team's 2 lines, front row and back row, of 3 points, the players. Then we will check to see if they are in a legal alignment. Check receiving team. Do the players for both lines, back row and front row, overlap sideline to sideline? The center back is in between the left back and right back. The center front is in between the left front and right front. Also, the left front is closer to the center line than the left back. The center front is closer to the center line than the center back. The right front is closer to the center line than the right back. This alignment is legal. Check serving team. Do the players for both lines, back row and front row, overlap sideline to sideline? The left back is closer to the left sideline than the center back. The server, right back, can serve anywhere along the end line and may overlap. This is the only exception to the overlap rules. The center front is in between the left front and right front. Also, the left front is closer to the center line than the left back. The center front is closer to the center line than the center back. The right front is closer to the center line than the right back. This alignment is legal. Red team loses the rally. Black earns the point. Black team rotates to serve. Identify setters. Check alignments. Are both teams legal? Yes. Why do we identify the setters prior to each and every serve? When they are back row players, they are the number one suspects for back row attacks or blocks. Those rules are for another video. For alignment purposes, tracking the setter and their opposite player as they rotate during the set will aid in ruling on illegal alignments or overlaps. Here is a team's complete rotation and location of the setter and opposite player. When the players you are tracking, setter and opposite, are center players, is the only time this center front row player must have 1 foot closer to the center line than the corresponding center back row player. In this rotation, the setter, number 15, is the center back. Thus number 4, center front, must have 1 foot in front of number 15's both feet. When these opposites are left and right side players, the back player can be in front of the front player because they are not related. However, number 15, left back, must be behind the left front, number 21. And number 4, right front, must be in front of the right back, number 5. Let's go through the rest of the rotation tracking the setter, number 15, and opposite player, number 4. Then identify the 2 lines, front and back rows, of 3 points to determine if the alignment is legal. The setter, number 15, and opposite player 4, are center players on this rotation. Because they are centers, setter number 15, center front, has to have 1 foot closer to the center line than number 4, center back. We are now going to cover 3 of the most common, and easily recognizable, illegal alignments, known as an overlap. First one is the setter leaving too early. Players have to be in proper alignment at the moment of serve, which is when the ball is legally contacted by the server. A setter sometimes leaves and crosses the related player early to get into position to receive the pass from a teammate. The fault occurs when ball is legally contacted by the server. Official making the call, sound whistle. Award point to opposing team, then signal fault with the overlap signal. The second common overlap involves the previous server. By rule, the server, right back player, can serve from anywhere along the back end, thus being exempt from the overlap rules. However, when their team loses the rally and become the receiving team, this player must return to the right back position. On occasion they will forget and just simply move onto the court and overlap with the center back. The third common overlap involves the libero and left back during receive. Their team wins the rally and rotates to serve. The libero moves to left front. However, the libero can't play in the front row, thus is replaced by the player they were liberoing for. That player is left front now, but incorrectly starts in the center front position at time of serve. These 3 overlaps should be easy to catch because the player's significant position, setter, previous server, or libero replacement now in the front row. The other overlap situations usually occur when players just don't know their position, or move too far without regards to the players they are related to. Let's review. First, understand player positions and who each player is related to in regards to front and back rows, and side to side. Second, track setters and their opposite player each and every serve. This will aid in remembering the location of these players, and where they should be. Eventually you will also recognize players on either side, building up your ability to recognize overlaps quicker. Third, recognize the opposing team's previous server's location after they lost serve and the player moves to receive serve position. The opposing team's previous server must occupy right back position for the next serve by the opposing team. Fourth, recognize when the Libero is in left back. Then team wins rally and rotates to serve. The player replacing the Libero must be in the left front position. Conclusion. I hope this animated video helped you learn and understand volleyball player positions, alignments, and methods of identifying overlaps. The process will be slow at first. However, constantly identifying the setters and opposites prior each and every serve, then identifying the other points, players, in each line or row. You will develop a rhythm, muscle memory will develop, and the pace of such will speed up. Then you will be able to quickly determine the legality of each team's alignment prior to each serve. Thank you for watching and learning.